Everything really came together on this morning as far as variables concerning surf casting goes. The moon phase, the water temperature, the tides, the wind, there was bait in the water. It all came together in a perfect combination.
Nick, a peanut on a peanut. Well, it's an adult on a peanut. Pedophilic bunker.
So this is probably the 8th or 9th bunker that I had snagged since about 3 o'clock in the morning. And I decided, you know what, let me see if I can snag one on a makeshift snag, which this happened to be a Point Jude butterfish tin. And so I figured I'd give it a go.
That's a good one, Nick. That's a big girl, Nick.
So you've heard me jabbering to my friend Nick throughout the video, and you can see he's in the process right now of landing a really nice fish. He caught several that day.
Yeah, I did the snag and drop with spoon.
Turn it. 25.
Now, I'm all tangled as hell, but I'll take it. The same as like this one was fighting that I lost earlier, like when it was dark out. I'm sorry, girl, but you're gonna get eaten.
The reason I don't have footage was a brain fart on my part. Didn't have the indicator light set on my GoPro that told me that it was filming, so I didn't see the little light going. So I had assumed that since the light wasn't on, that it wasn't filming. Well, I was wrong. Something must have pushed on it and it had been recording. Fortunately, you know, I had battery power left, and I'm lucky to have the footage that I do. It's kind of actually miraculous that I have the footage that I have, considering that I had next to nothing left in terms of battery power. I inadvertently discovered in my snafu with the GoPro, I discovered when I went to try to film some craziness that was going on, where I looked down, and my friend Nick was like, look, Brian. I looked, and there was a wave of bunker, like, busting out of the water, smashing and beaching themselves in the rocks, because a huge school of stripers had like pinned them, and it went all the way down the jetty, and it was like National Geographic. It was amazing. And then there's whales busting 25 yards out from us, like bunker jumping out of the rip. It was really amazing at first light, you know, just beautiful stuff. It doesn't happen that way very often. So I'm excited. I'm like, oh, I want to film, but I had no idea. I literally had no idea what I did or didn't have footage-wise because of this goof up. Anyway, but that's not what I wanted to talk about. What I wanted to talk about is how I had to catch this fish 3 times. So I decided I'm going to harvest this big girl, get her on a stringer, and I'm going to keep fishing, you know, because there's more of these waves of bunker coming in. And so I decided, you know, I had gotten her on a snag and drop. I was like, oh, let me try, you know, I was throwing a super strike little neck popper. So I figured, at worst, I'm going to get a topwater hit, and at best, I'll snag a bunker and use it as a bunker snag, because it's a sinking popper. Sure enough, I snagged a bunker, nose hooked him, threw it back out, bam, got a great hit, hooked into a nice big fish, another one easily as big as what I had, and worked around 6 guys to get back out to where I could land it, because she ran like straight to the current, right into the rocks and the rip. So I managed to get out on the rocks, and another brain fart, high sticker, rod snaps. She also got around a rock and broke off the line, swam away with my plug in her sticking out of the corner of her mouth. So I snapped my rod, and I was like, okay, decision's made. I can't fish right now. I'm gonna have to go back to the truck, get my backup rod, and that was when things started going south. You know, get the stringer out from the rocks, and there was a young guy who also had another big fish, 20 some odd pounder, and he was kind of freaked out looking at this huge gap that needs to be jumped. And there was no way to go down in through the hole because it was like a washing machine and spin cycle that the tide was in, and there was lots of water moving around. So I was like, okay, well, I'll help you out, man. I'll make the jump, throw me my stringer, and then, you know, we'll do the same for you, and then that way we'll all be able to get over, and, you know, we don't have to try to jump with 25 pounds of dead weight each. He hands me my stringer after I make the jump. I get my fish, and I wedge her in between 2 rocks, which I thought were high. Brain fart. You know, so I put her there, and it's like, okay, and I didn't feel like I had to hold on to the stringer. Big mistake. So I go back, I help him get his fish, get his rod, he makes the jump, I turn around, just in time to see the tail like I see it go down in between the rocks into the water, and I'm just like, oh my God. It was like a nightmare, and I'm just like in shock and nauseated and disgusted, and then I'm pissed, and I was being a jackass because it was my stupid mistake to not have secured the fish, not this kid's, and I'm like, but meanwhile I'm being a jackass, like, oh, that's what I get for helping somebody, you know, and it's like, man, fess up, dude. You made a stupid mistake, and I own that now. And I apologize to the kid later. I was just steamed, but he felt really bad because he felt like it was his fault because I was helping him. But it was a bad decision on my part. But he was really cool and stuck by me and helped me out. So I see this fish. I see the fish go down, and I'm poking around with my broken rod and nothing. So I continue desperately poking around, and then he's like, over here, and he saw it pop up on the inlet side, and she's belly up in a current heading out. Now the upside is the tide was in and it hadn't switched over quite yet, so it was kind of slack tide, thank God. But she was still drifting at a decent clip. So he had Tsunami Talking Popper. He lent me his rod, and I was like, okay, I got this. My casting, I got accurate casting. I can do this. And so, it's about 25, 30 feet away. My cast was accurate. I mean, it was like the line was like right laying over the fish, and pull to set the hook, and it would just like whoop and hop over the fish. And that happened on several of my attempts. And then I finally laid the hook into it and snagged her, and I'm reeling her in. I get her by the rocks. I'm like, okay, grab the stringer. And unfortunately, he grabbed the leader, which tore the scale off the fish, and then she started drifting away again. And I'm losing my mind at this point. I'm in shock because I had it, and then it slipped through my hands, and I had it again, and it slipped through my hands, and so now it's drifting, and it's in more of a current. I was like, I need something with more hook. The single tail hook wasn't cutting it. It was a Gibbs with double trebles, a belly and a tail treble. It was a bigger plug than this, a big yellow one. Hooked that out, snapped off, lure goes flying, and I'm just beside myself at this point. Like, this is just ridiculous. At this point, I was like, I need a snag. I need to get a bunker snag. Got to get a bunker snag, a weighted treble hook. So this kid was kind enough to ask some of the anglers who had all the way down the jetty had been hearing me screaming like, fuck! I was losing my mind and swearing at the top of my lungs because, like, here's this beautiful fish, and here it was potentially just being a complete and utter waste, drift out to sea. Shark bait, He came back with a bunker snag, which I actually found out was my friend Dave's. When I told him the story later, he's like, oh, that was me. But the fish is out in the inlet at this point. I mean, it's in the channel and it's going pretty fast. I mean, it was like a solid 40 yards, maybe 50 yards out, and I'm losing hope with each successive cast. Like, I thank God that the bunker snag, it's got some weight to it, and you can huck it, so you can get the distance that you can't get with one of these guys. You're not going to be able to get the same distance with this. So I get the snag, and it's just like probably 15 casts, and I managed to set that hook and hit pay dirt, and it was just like oh, thank you. And I feel like, man, maybe that's the fish gods giving me instant karma for harvesting a breeder. From here on out, I'm not going to harvest anything over 32 inches. We need to maintain the resource. I was lucky. I was actually able to salvage the fish in terms of having it not go to waste. But I learned my lesson. I want them to be around for my kids, I want them to be around for my kids and other people's kids. It's not just for us. It's, we can't be selfish about this resource. I don't have this attitude that I have to friggin' take one home every single time that I catch a keeper. That's not what it's about. It's about maintaining the resource. Anyway, there's my story. How to catch my personal best 3 times over in the same day. And avoid brain farts at all costs. Don't suffer from Flatus cerebellus.